Hey everyone, it's Ben Hardy here, and in today's video, I'm going to be trading shoes with those that work at car dealers and run car dealers. And the reason that we're doing this is it's a pretty interesting perspective on the whole car market collapse situation. And I think that seeing things from different perspectives can help us better navigate this whole situation. And you know, some of these perspectives might also shock some of you, and I said perspective like 10 times. But anyways, before we get into the video, as always, if you want to save time and money the next time you purchase a car, link to my car buying guide in the description down below. If you want to see more content like this, by the way, I recommend you subscribe because I post videos every single day. Let's dive into it. So the first reason as to why the car market is declining at such a rapid rate from the point of view of dealerships is because of interest rates. A lot of dealers feel like they're getting the short end of the stick when it comes to the whole interest rate increase because it's making it very difficult for them to convince customers to purchase cars. A really good example that I was kind of shown today was a customer that basically went in to purchase a car about 3 months ago and got quoted a payment of about $500 a month. They decided that, you know, it wasn't exactly the right time for them to purchase, so they took a step back and then they went back into that dealership within the last week and got quoted a payment of $150 more per month on the same exact vehicle with a pretty similar out the door price on the whole transaction. Their trade-in was worth a little bit less than it was prior because, well, used car values have declined by such a massive amount. We'll talk about that a little bit later in the video. But the point that I'm trying to make with this example is this same exact customer in a pretty short period of time just got completely booted out of the car market because, well, the payment that they originally saw was already a little bit higher than they wanted, and now the payment that they're seeing today is way too high for what they want, $150 more per month. And so, yeah, dealers are blaming the increase in interest rates on the decline of the car market. They feel like affordability is just not there anymore for a lot of their customers, and until interest rates decrease, volume is not going to stop decreasing. And something that a lot of dealers have said to me is that they hope that their manufacturers release some sort of 0% interest rate program to incentivize people to purchase. They actually don't want manufacturers to discount the vehicles at all. They want manufacturers to instead just give 0% APR because they feel like that would be a better route than adding discounts on vehicles. Go figure. Let's get to the next point. Now, the second point as to why the car market is declining from the point of view of dealers is because used car prices are declining at a rapid rate in conjunction with the increase in interest rates. And so this is making it so trade-in values are also decreasing because trade-ins are used cars. And so this makes it even more difficult for people to purchase a car because they go into the dealership and they find out that the interest rate is a lot higher. And on top of the interest rate being a lot higher, their vehicle is not worth nearly as much money as what it was prior. An example that I was shown today was a vehicle that just a few months ago was worth close to $50,000. And now today, as a trade-in, it's worth only about $40,000. And this person still assumed that their vehicle is worth $50,000 because they haven't really looked at the updated pricing. And so they got completely shocked when they realized that they had lost that much value in just a few months. So the used car market is starting to normalize. And because it's starting to normalize, it's shocking a lot of people when they go in to trade in their vehicle and find that, well, their vehicle is not worth nearly as much as it was just a few months ago. And a lot of people are starting to have negative equity again, where their trade-in is worth less money than what they owe on the vehicle. And that hasn't happened for a lot of people in 2 years because of the rapid increase in used car prices post-COVID. Now, the third reason is because dealerships just cannot get enough vehicles from manufacturers, more specifically, enough of the product that people actually want to purchase. This is something that I have been hearing consistently from car dealers, is that their respective manufacturers are not building enough vehicles and they're just not building enough of what their customers actually want. And so it's kind of like an interesting situation where, yeah, inventories are starting to grow, but they're still nowhere near what they were at prior to COVID. And so dealers still feel like they just don't have enough inventory. And on top of not having enough inventory, they just can't get what they feel like they need that would actually be something that their customers would come in and purchase. And so again, they're pushing the blame over to manufacturers going, okay, if you guys would just build more cars and if you would build more of these cars, then we would actually be able to sell them and the market would not be declining at the rate that it's declining at. Reason number 4 is over speculation. A lot of dealers have noted that there was a lot of speculation over the last couple of years because of the rapid increase in car values. There were a lot of people that started to, quote unquote, invest into cars because they saw the prices continually increasing week after week. And so because of this over speculation, the market just reached a pinnacle where, the bubble popped, and that's what we are experiencing now. And so a lot of these dealers say that, hey, if our wholesalers and if other dealers and if just, random people that decided to jump in and start buying cars didn't speculate as much as they did over the last couple of years, then this issue wouldn't be nearly as bad as it is. And so, yeah, over speculation is another reason. Now, the 5th reason is because buyers have not yet shifted their mindset. Dealers are saying that buyers are in the wrong sort of mindset to be purchasing a car in today's market. And what I mean by that is over the last couple of years, we all know that car values just continually increased week after week. And so buyers got into this mindset where they could go and buy a car and basically drive it for free or even potentially make some money when they go and sell it. And dealers are now saying that buyers need to completely shift that mentality back to what markets used to be like, where you go and buy a new car and expect to lose, thousands, if not tens of thousands of dollars in depreciation on that car, because the car market doesn't always go up because, well, it's not supposed to go up. Cars are depreciating assets. And so dealers say that until buyers change their mindset, the market's going to continue to decline because they need to understand that that's just what markets do, is they decline because cars depreciate. Reason number 6 is because lending institutions are a little bit too strict with their lending policy. And this isn't as universal of an opinion by dealerships, but it's something that I have heard. Basically, lending institutions have become a lot more strict in terms of the loans that they'll actually give out to people on cars. If you guys don't know, in the past, you literally could write whatever you want on a credit application to a lender if you had good credit. And so, like, for example, let's say that I make, $20,000 a year and I want to go in and buy a Lamborghini. And let's say that I have a credit score of over 800. Well, I could go into the Lamborghini dealership and instead of putting $20,000 per year on my income, I could put, $2 million a year for my income. And the lending institution probably wouldn't do anything about that. They wouldn't stip me for income or anything because, again, I've got really good credit. So they assume, oh, well, he's got really good credit, so he must be, a good, honest person and whatever, and we'll give him the loan. And so that's how crazy things would be. And it's not like dealers were telling people to lie about their income. I mean, some of them could have been, but there were a lot of situations where people lied about their income and basically purchased cars that were way outside of what they would normally be able to get approved for because their credit scores were high enough that they weren't getting stipped for income. While lending institutions are now starting to stip for income and all of these other things to basically make it so that they don't end up giving loans to people that can't actually afford them, which makes logical sense. But again, it's another reason why the market is collapsing from the point of view of some dealers. But like I said, this isn't as much of a thing. Point number 7 is because there is no more stimulus in the economy. A lot of dealers cited that, well, the reason that the market was going up constantly is because, well, the government was printing out a ton of money, and so people had all this extra money, and now people don't have a lot of extra money anymore, and so they can't go out and buy these cars that have increased in price. And pretty straightforward point. Reason number 8 is actually 2 different reasons, and basically it is the increase in MSRP on cars and the increase in invoice prices on cars. And so basically, a lot of dealers have this sentiment that their product is just too expensive now, that their respective manufacturers have increased the prices at a rate that the market just cannot sustain. But on top of that, if you guys don't know, most manufacturers have increased their invoice prices at a rate that is higher than their MSRP prices. And so what this means is that dealerships actually have less profit on average within most new cars. And so a lot of dealers are saying, well, you know what? screw you, manufacturer, we're going to mark up your product, because if you're not going to allow us to make as much profit from invoice to MSRP, then we're going to charge over MSRP so that we can make as much profit as what we were making in the past. Yeah, I can make a whole video about this whole situation, but that's another point. So to bring everything together, I first want to mention that there are more reasons as to why the market is crashing from the dealership perspective, but I don't want this video to be too much longer. I do want to say though, I think that most of the points are pretty valid, like the interest rate increase. I think that's pretty self-evident. That's going to make cars less affordable. So yeah, that is going to decrease demand. And also vehicles having a higher MSRP, that's also going to make it so demand is lower because they're just less affordable. So there are some points that are just pretty logical, but there are some other points where there's definitely a gray area, like dealerships saying that they have to charge over MSRP because there's not as much markup between invoice and MSRP as there was in the past. Yeah, I mean, I'm gonna have to dive a little bit more into that. And like I said, there's probably gonna have to be a dedicated video on that particular topic. And so I guess that my overall opinion on what dealerships think with this whole market situation is, on most of the points, pretty valid, but on some of those points, yeah, definitely some finger pointing, and I don't necessarily agree with what they're saying. I want you guys to let me know which points you agree with and which points you disagree with. And yeah, with that being said, I will see all of you in that next video.